You guys have been wanting an update on this, so I will be making a list and I will be checking it twice, and it is going to include all 44 mechs that are in the game right now. The top two tiers are for general meta and low SP meta. Also, I'm going to skip straight to the epic and legendary mechs because that's probably what you're here for. If you want my reasoning for all these placements, you can check out the unedited version of this video available for channel members. Redeemer, I am going to put in A above Guardian. If you have it maxed out, it's really strong. You could use it at high SP and do pretty good with it. But the problem is that it only is really useful when it's max level because of the ability to escape the EMP status effect, which does, by the way, make it very useful in Hangar Showdown mode especially. So if you have Redeemer, use it in Hangar Showdown. Honestly, it's really, really good. Aegis, I am going to put in low SP meta, the sub S tier. I actually think this is like one of the most valuable mechs that low SP players can have. It's so good, it's so strong, it loses value at like absolute max level, mostly because like 1 or 2 Stormrack volleys will take the shield down, but in lower SP, like proportionally, there's not as much damage, and your dome will very often survive the entire 10-second duration, which is really, really strong. It's pretty much a guaranteed beacon capture. Yeah, just using it for all kinds of stuff is really good. Zephyr, I'm gonna put also B, top of B. I mean, it's got an EMP status effect. I mean, what do you want, right? It's the most broken status effect. It's really large radius. The only problem is it doesn't last for very long. Zephyr's speed is really garbage, and its HP is also really garbage. So in the right circumstances, this can be really, really good, but in general, it is not the best. Pros and cons, obviously, and that is why I put it in B. Cheetah is going to be another F mech. It's top of F, right? It's not the most garbage. The mine damage is fairly high, and I think technically Cheetah has the highest ability DPS in the entire game, which sounds good, but it's not good. Right, because you have to be literally right in their face to dump mines on somebody, and you're just gonna be dead. It's true, you're just gonna be dead. And if they happen to have any type of mod shields, then your mines will very often just hit those mod shields first anyway, and to not even deal damage to the mechs. And so it's pretty garbage. Panther, I am going to put in sub S, just below Aegis. Now, the kind of duality of these two that I will point out is that when you're talking lower SP, like let's say my free-to-play account, again, like for 4,000 to 5,000 squad power, right? I value my Aegis higher than I value my Panther. I think my Aegis is more valuable. When it comes to max level, though, I would actually swap the two. I would say Panther is better than Aegis, and it goes back to what I was saying about Aegis, where the dome goes down fairly quickly. The fact that the Panther barrier is invincible, completely invincible, does make it have, you know, guaranteed value for a certain amount of time. And I would say that that's better than Aegis if you're going for maxed mechs. But if you're a bit lower, if they're just rank 4 or whatever, I would go Aegis over Panther. But they are similar. Like, they are very similar. Kill shot, I'm gonna put another B above Zephyr. The abilities nice, very convenient. It is the fastest mech in the game, technically, tied with Slingshot, of course, because they have the exact same ability. But it's still very weak. It's still very weak. You pretty much have to use it with very passive weapons, such as, like, you know, Helix Rack or whatever, which is what everybody uses it with, obviously. It's nice, it's convenient, yeah, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's, like, particularly good. Sentinel, I am going to put in C. We'll put it above a Slingshot, but below Lancer. Lancer is a light mech. It's got really low HP. The reason that I value it higher than like what? I can't talk. The reason I value it higher than these other things is because the ability just allows you to get onto certain things. Get some whatever kills, just be a nuisance, right? You can just be a nuisance. You're not going to be able to do a lot necessarily, but you can do it without dying, right? Whereas most of these other things will not do a lot, but also die while doing it. Orion, the last of the epic mechs, is going to be sub S tier top. This is the best epic mech by far. If you're going to use one epic mech above any other epic mech, it should be Orion. It's just like the most disgusting damage boost ridiculousness that you've ever seen. It is very, very strong. The only reason it's not like legitimate meta is because the ability requires a target lock, and Orion is fairly weak, so you kind of have to use it with ranged weapons. There's a lot of enemies that have, there's a lot of other meta stuff that has stealth and such like, so it's a little bit less convenient to actually work with that, but it is usable even at max SP. Brick House, I am going to put top of C. It is not good. Same speed as Arachnos, which is the lowest you can get. It has decent HP, and the ability allows you to have a lot of firepower, similar to like Stalker. And that sounds good, but like most of the time, the damage boost doesn't actually make a difference. Like most of the time, it doesn't. And at the end of the day, if the damage boost is literally the only positive aspect of the mech, and the damage boost isn't very effective, then the mech itself is not going to be very effective. Redox, I am going to put in B, above Killshot. It is very slow, not as slow as Brickhouse, but it is very slow. It is fairly weak in terms of HP, has high energy capacity. The ability is nice, though. The ability is nice. I feel like Redox is a little bit underappreciated. It is a niched mech that kind of requires to be used in a certain way. It's more of like a close quarters type thing, which like you wouldn't think that it is, but it kind of is. It's just kind of hard to get yourself into a good position. But if you can get yourself into a good position for Redox, it's actually pretty nasty. Surge. Speaking of pretty nasty, Surge is going to be it. So this is, in my opinion, the best mech in the game. Just straight up. If that's what you were looking for, I think Surge is the best mech in the game. It's similar to Killshot in the sense that like the dash aspect is super handy and it's really convenient. Makes it easy to use close quarters weapons. It is fairly weak in terms of HP, but it doesn't really matter because it has EMP status effect, same as Zephyr. You can kill 2, probably 3 people, full HP enemies in that amount of time. It's not even difficult. So yeah, no, Surge is at the top, I'd say. It also gets stealth after you dash, by the way, just because why not, right? Gate Crasher, I am going to put in B, above Redox. I think it is better than Redox. It's kind of just base stats. Like, you mostly just use Gate Crasher for base stats. The ability is alright, but it's really nothing special. You kind of just use it like an Onyx, right? You just try to hit somebody with it. That's it. Like, yeah, technically it can go through walls, but you pretty much never actually successfully hit somebody through a wall. It's very, very difficult, which is sad. It's very, very sad, because Gatecrashers is very cool. It's a cool mech. I like it. Bastion. I'm gonna put A above both of these. I think Bastion is also fairly underrated. It's one of those things where it's like, you don't want to use the ability shield as protection. You actually want to use it when you get close to people. Let yourself take damage while you're closing distance, but then once you get close enough, you activate your ability. At that point, your enemies know that they can't shoot at you without exploding the shield, dealing damage to themselves, and applying EMP to themselves. It's a very nice close quarters mech. It is fairly slow. It has the most HP in the game, which is like not necessarily saying a lot. HP doesn't mean a ton. It's a lot more important the number of mod shield layers you have, which is the same for everything, than raw HP. Raw HP doesn't actually mean a whole ton, but it is worth mentioning. Onyx is similar to Gatecrasher, but I'd say probably better. Same energy capacity, slightly slower, and also slightly weaker in terms of HP, but the ability is just significantly more convenient. It has a large radius to it, deals slightly more damage. Because of the fact that it has a radius means that you can hit people in the back with it, and you can actually double the damage that you deal. So essentially, if you play it right, it's a mech that's slightly slower, slightly weaker, but has twice the ability to, compared to Gatecrasher, right? Eclipse is another S tier mech. Like, I don't think anybody's going to dispute that, right? So that's just going to be where it is. The ability essentially just prevents you from taking any negative effects pretty much, period. Like, there's a couple things that can bypass it, but that's about it. It's very difficult to put like a strict advantage onto an Eclipse, but at the same time, Eclipse itself doesn't have like any notable advantage over anything else outside of just the fact that it's fast. But the stealth also does really help keep it from taking like spam from, you know, whatever guided weapons, right? Nomad is another legendary scout that is another S tier mech. It's basically an upgrade to Killshot. where you get some damage resistance. You get to be pretty tanky for 3 seconds after dashing. So this is a mech that, unlike Killshot, which is super weak and you can't really use it aggressively, you can and really should use Nomad aggressively. It's like one of the most effective, like super aggro pusher type mechs. Scorpius, I am gonna put also B above Redox, below Gatecrasher. All 4 of these I feel like they're okay, but they're not really great, right? Like especially these 3 I think are very similar to each other. Kind of just depends on what weapon you're using and what you like to use, really. Personally, I'd say Scorpius is on the lower end. That's just because I find the ability to be kind of inconvenient and doesn't deal a lot of damage either. But it is essentially like a guided weapon, right? So if you have like Helix Rack or something, you're just spamming guided weapons, like you may as well slap it on a Scorpius if you have it. And the ability is another guided weapon, so there you go. Hemlock is S tier. It got nerfed, but I don't think it matters. It's still S tier. By all accounts, it really is pretty much the same. The thing that they did, they nerfed the duration by a little bit, and they nerfed the cooldown by a lot. It has a much longer cooldown, and that definitely makes it worse, but I don't think it makes it not meta. I don't think being able to permanently daze people was ever an aspect that was fully necessary for Hemlock to be a meta mech. I think just being able to stick people in place for a couple seconds from significant range, like 300, literally across the entire map, 300 meters, is probably always going to be good. Vortex up next, I'm going to put honorary S tier, essentially, above Aegis, but below Orion. Vortex is very good. A lot of people got Vortex for free from that one promo code, which, by the way, once again, that was actually a mess up. You weren't supposed to get that Vortex. That was supposed to only be for new people, but they messed up, and it was a nice mess up, though. I'll take it, right? But at the same time, it was only rank 3. So for a lot of you, you might be thinking, well, my Vortex isn't that good. It's because it's only rank 3. Rank 3 is fairly weak. You have less energy capacity, but more importantly, you have less HP. And for a mech that its whole thing is just that it's really tanky in terms of HP, its ability doubles its current HP, so the more base HP you have, the better your ability does. That's what really makes Vortex good. So if you have low HP, if it's just low rank, then it's just not going to be great. So if you want to rank it up one time, right? If you get the blueprints or whatever, to rank it up one time, I probably would do that. Seeker up next. I am also going to put S tier along with Hemlock. It is used less nowadays. Like, it's not the most used. You would be surprised. And there's a lot of people who think that Seeker is just like the most broken thing in the entire game. You would be very surprised at how often people don't use Seeker at high SP. It's actually not that great. Once people figure out how to counter it, it's very easy to kill it. It's actually not a big deal. At high SP, most people know what they're doing, but it can still be very useful. Just being able to literally teleport behind somebody from 100 meters away is pretty good, right? You're gonna be able to get some people with that. For the rest of this list, this is the order that these mechs were released in, which should generally be the order that they become free-to-play as well. So I would expect the next free-to-play mech to be Seeker. Now, this is in Tier 9, whereas Solus and Lacewing are in Tier 8, so they might do these two first, but essentially what I'm saying, yeah, this is just the order that they released them in. Speaking of Solus, though, I'm also put Solus in S. I think it's better than Seeker, worse than Hemlock, but it is very good. The blind is obviously not nearly as effective as Daze, but your cooldown is significantly shorter, and you do have 2 of them. So it's very nice. It's very nice. It's also an AoE effect, so you can get people through walls. You can get multiple enemies that are close together. It is a very nice and decent, like, legit support mech, along with high energy capacity. Pretty good. Lacewing, another legendary scout, I think is better than both of them. Well, I'm actually going to put it below Hemlock. And I'm only going to put it below Hemlock because Lacewing is incredibly map dependent. If you get lucky and you get a map, like any good Lancer map, right? So we're talking like Imperial Temple, that one 3-beacon map with the, you know, the red buildings and whatever, you could jump on the roof. Any of those maps where you can jump up on the roof, Lacewing is just ridiculously strong. Any map like, let's say, Mech Arena map, this one, where there's really no good place. Like, you can jump on top of those things, but it doesn't give you any advantage at all. It's probably worse to be up there. Any map like that, Lacewing is, like, genuinely pretty bad, but generally, like, yeah, Lacewing is just very hit or miss, I'd say. Blockhorn. I am also going to put in S. Now, I am a moderate Blockhorn glazer, let it be known. I definitely think Blockhorn is a little bit underappreciated, but I would say that it's definitely usable in the top meta. I'm going to put it in S just because I think it's better than just an A. I think it deserves the S. Mimicker. Another legendary scout, the only legendary scout that doesn't get S tier. I'm going to put this one in A, and I'm going to put it above Redeemer but below Bastion. I think it can be very, very nice, but you pretty much exclusively want to use it at range. It's not a brawler mech by any means. It's not like the other scouts where you can use them as, you know, close quarters brawler type things. Mimicker, you really want to keep your distance, and keeping your distance can be difficult sometimes. It's a little bit niched, so not that great. Deathwalker. I'm going to put, obviously, S. I mean, everybody saw this coming, right? In the number 2 spot above Eclipse. I think the fact that Revoker got a range nerf made Eclipse specifically slightly less valuable because it's harder to chase people down. Like, it was only barely able to chase people down with it before. Like, it was only barely fast enough. But with less range, it makes it a little bit more difficult, I would say. And, yeah, so that makes it slightly less valuable, right? Deathwalker is just ridiculous. You use your ability, you come out from cover, someone literally kills you, and then you just respawn back on your ability location, and you just keep doing that over and over and over again. It's essentially just an infinite HP glitch. I don't think I have to explain why that's really broken. Outlaw. I'm going to put top of A. It's kind of really bad at everything, except for the fact that it can deal with Deathwalker, which I just mentioned. It's a long-range system crash, which will absolutely mess this thing up, but that's kind of the only thing it's good at. Almost no other meta mech actually really cares whether or not you system crash it. Like a Lacewing on a rooftop, yeah, who gives a crap? If you system crash a Nomad, actually, there's a bug where you give it damage resistance, even if it didn't have it before, it just automatically gets damage resistance. You're actually worse off. The Nomad gets stronger when you system crash it. Both of these mechs have stealth, and their cooldowns are like 2 seconds each. Like, the only thing that you're effective against is a Deathwalker. Salvor. I'm gonna put also A, below Bastion. In theory, it's really strong, but the problem is that by the time the mod shields are gone, you're kind of cooked anyway. Like, the only thing you can heal is the raw HP, and the raw HP, like I mentioned with Bastion, doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's mostly about how many mod layers you have. In general, it's good. It's actually much better at lower SP, so, like, you could make an argument for me to put it in the low SP meta section. But, yeah, I'm gonna keep it A. Dreadnought, on the other hand, I'm going to put top of this one. This thing is ridiculously strong if there's no mods involved, because it can, like, one-shot a lot of things with the ability, and it's just ridiculous. You just go on, like, absolute rampages with it. And that's nice. That's really good. I've probably shown some footage from my free-to-play account getting multiple kills with this thing in a row, and it's nice, great, right? But when there's a lot of mods involved, then the only thing you're actually getting from it is 2 seconds of EMP time, which is not that much. So you take a lot of damage in return, and even if you get the kill from whatever it is that you used your ability on, you're not going to get more than just like 1 or 2 kills before you die. So yeah, realistically, high SP Dreadnought, not very good. Low SP Dreadnought, very, very good. Parasite, I'm going to put in S tier, above Blockhorn and Seeker. I think it's growing in popularity. You literally just, like, you link to somebody, and that's just it. When you're linked to someone, you get 90% damage resistance, which is crazy. It turns you into, like, an absolute super tank. 30% of the damage that you do take gets redirected into whoever you're linked to. So it's like an almost guaranteed kill trade as soon as you link to somebody. The problem is that, like, if you do get the kill, for example, then your ability just automatically ends. So if the guy you're linked to dies, your ability is just over, and you're probably out in the open in a very bad spot, with nothing to protect you at all, in which case you will usually die very quickly. So it's a pretty much guaranteed 1-for-1 trade, and that makes it really good in like Hammer Showdown especially. Deathwalker's still better because it's just infinite HP you keep throwing at people, but Parasite's very, very good. Volti, I am going to put also in honorary S tier. Low SP Volti is just so toxic. One ability use will kill almost everything in my current free-to-play hangar. It is actually absurd. And I desperately need a stealthed mech in that hangar, dude. Like, it's just been ridiculous. Now, Volti hasn't been, like, the most of my concerns. It's actually Gemini. But Volti is definitely a big problem. The ability range is not that good, though. If the ability range was better, then it would be actual max level S tier. Most of the time, they have a lot more HP. They have, like, a canopy mod shield. And it's going to take, like, several abilities to do any type of reasonable damage to them. Worth mentioning, though, for both Volti and Parasite, one of the ways that you can counter their abilities, which I think a lot of people didn't know, is literally just running away. Volti's ability has a max range of, I believe, 80 meters to target you, but if you run 110 meters away, the ability just turns off. The ability deactivates, the Volti has to go in cooldown. The same thing happens with Parasite, though Parasite has an ability range implant, which can extend that range past 110 meters. I think it's like up to like 130 meters. So it can be a little bit harder to escape a Parasite. But again, like if you're at any decent range, it might even be worthwhile to just turn around and run the other direction. Silverthorn, one of the newer ones. I'm gonna put in B. The top of B, sure, whatever. It's kind of the same as these four. Like, they're all basically identical. It's just mech with high energy capacity, with an ability that deals damage in some way that's kind of fancy, maybe. I don't know. Like, Silverthorn compared to Onyx, technically, Silverthorn's kind of worse in terms of the ability. But the cooldown's shorter, the base stats are better, like the HP and the speed, so I will give it that. The problem with Silverthorn is that, like, when you use the ability, you hit some people, you deal damage with the little blade things that it shoots out. But also, you have a 3.5 second time window to build up extra damage on them. And that sounds cool, right? So you will build up essentially 50% of whatever damage you deal to them during that time window. You will deal that additionally in, like, a small AoE from the ability. And that's kind of cool, but like if you really think about it, Stalker has a 50% damage boost on literally all of its weapon output for 9 seconds. Whereas Silverthorn, you have to hit somebody with it first, and it's only for 3.5 seconds that you can even get that extra damage off. So that's kind of bad, right? And it's also after a delay, right? You don't even do it immediately. It's a delayed thing. So yeah, not great, but it is something, right? It's better than nothing. It can be useful for sure. And again, the cooldown is fairly short. I think it's like 7 seconds as opposed to these two, which are both 10. And then finally, the Blizzler. Blizzfrost. I'm going to put this, I'm going to put it in S above Blockhorn. I actually do think it's pretty good. I do think it is pretty darn good. It is not like a top 5 mech, but I do think it's probably a top 10 mech. Definitely not the sort of thing that everyone's going to want to use, but definitely the sort of thing that some people are going to want to use. The ability is really nice. The AoE field will just stop everything dead in its tracks, even an Eclipse, which technically should be immune to all status effects. But here's the note that I got from the devs, and I left this on as a pinned comment on my review video, but I think a lot of people didn't end up seeing it. Essentially, their logic with this is like when Blizzfrost activates the ability, it first will deactivate anything that's in stealth, and then it will apply the freeze effect. So it turns off Eclipse's immunity first, essentially, and then it freezes it in place. Just being able to stick Eclipse in place doesn't necessarily mean a lot. Anything that's in the radius of Blizzfrost can shoot you, right? There's nothing stopping them from shooting you. You can still turn and shoot. You just can't move. You can't walk. But you get a good amount of damage resistance from it as well, more than Nomad gets. So it is tanky. It's tanky enough to counter Eclipse. It's tanky enough to counter a Nomad. It's tanky enough to possibly even counter a Surge, even though Surge would probably EMP it and get a lot of free damage off, so it's maybe 50-50. So it's really good against those three things, but kind of really bad against a lot of other stuff. because it's not that fast. Like, it is fast, obviously, but it doesn't have a dash ability. It doesn't have a movement-based ability, which makes it not really capable of using really OP weapons like Revoker, for example. It's one of those things where it's like, it's actually really good in some cases, but kind of not really great in others. A little bit situational, similar to Lacewing. So this is my final list. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'm sure you have some misgivings with some of these placements. That's totally fine. In fact, I actually want your guys' opinion, and here's how I want you to give it. There will be a link in the description for this tier list, as always. I want you to take all of the mechs and rank all of them based on your own opinion. You don't need to explain anything. Whatever opinion you have, I'm not going to be mad at you for it. Doesn't matter. Take a screenshot or press this button. It'll save it in an image like this, and then put that image in my Discord in the channel labeled community listing right here. You can join my Discord, also linked in the description. And then based on all of your guys' rankings, I will make a separate video where I take an average of all of those listings and I make essentially a community tier list, and I'll share my thoughts on that as well. And I think that could be cool. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, that will be it for me. Appreciate y'all. Take care.